Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. So today we're gonna see what happens when these travelers took a vacation to Brazil and it went a complete disaster. Let's take a look.
So this is a story time about how we got mugged at point hiking to one of the wonders of the world in Brazil, the Christ the Redeemer, and why you should not hike it yourselves if you're travelling to Rio. Don't know what the Christ the Redeemer is. It is this landmark which you've probably seen on anyone's photos if they visited Rio, if they visited Brazil. It's probably the most famous landmark in Brazil. So we thought it'd be super safe to hike up. Anyway, you can get the cable car up or you can hike up. So we decided to hike up, one, because it was free, and two, we thought it'd be a bit more of a challenge, so it'd be quite fun. We hiked up really safely, like everything seemed fine on the way up. It was just a standard trail. It was all very well signposted. If you're doing the cable car, you're absolutely fine. It's so heavily security at the top. But the trail was like a separate bit. It's not like an official trail up. So anyway, we hiked back down, and then when we got to it was only 5-10 minutes from the exit, probably less, like 2-3 minutes from the entrance going up, we got stopped and shouted by this guy, but he was behind us, so he jumped out of a bush and shouted, "Stop." I thought he said, "Did you come from the top?" So I thought, because he didn't look that sketchy at the time, I thought, oh, maybe he wants some advice, like, have you come from the top? How long is it going to be? So I stopped, turning around, and he was probably like 10 meters, 15 meters away from us and started walking towards us. He came closer up to us and he lifted up his top and there was a gun in his shorts. He was also shouting, "Telephone, telephone, telephone." My immediate reaction was not to hand over my telephone. I don't know why. This was extremely stupid, as well as Prina did the exact same thing. And I tried to hand over my wallet instead, which had my cash and cards. I was showing him my cash and cards. I just thought, oh God, this is such a Gen Z thing to do, and I just thought, safety wise, it'd be best to have your phone on us. But anyway, he took my wallet and still wanted the telephone, clearly. So then he started patting me up and down, and was going "Have you not seen that?" He then whipped out the gun and was like, "I've got a bloody gun on me. Show me, give me your phone." So at this point, I whipped out my phone, hand over my phone, and somehow he just left after that. We found out after this, if you do your proper research online, away from the tourism boards and everything like that, that this is a really common thing to happen. I'll put on screen this picture of what was on the trail in 2017. It literally said 150 muggings past 3-4 months at gunpoint, and the trail actually closed in 2017 because someone got stabbed and died on the trail. Anyway, the most important thing is that we are safe, we are unharmed. We lost my phone, we lost my wallet, we lost my cards, but again, unharmed. And the most important thing, if this ever happens to you, is to hand over your stuff and don't be stupid like we did at first, because it could have got a lot worse if we didn't, and we got lucky that the guy didn't actually turn violent. But yeah, if you're heading to Rio de Janeiro, stay safe.
Okay guys, story time. So honestly, I was not expecting this TikTok to blow up the way it did. But so my husband and I just came back from Brazil. It was beautiful. We originally flew into Sao Paulo, and then we connected to Florianopolis and spent some time at a resort down in Florianopolis. And then we went to Sao Paulo for a few days and then headed back to the States. Mind you, I am only sharing my experience. Also, I've been to Rio at least 5 or 6, excuse me, not Rio. I've been to Brazil at least 5 or 6 times. I've been to Rio, I've stayed in different areas around Rio, and I have been to Sao Paulo multiple times. But this previous time, we just got back this past week, this previous time, it was like a shock. And I don't know if coronavirus had anything to do with it. I don't know what it was, but so you guys see my skin tone. I'm Black. My husband is American, but he's Cameroonian, he's African, so his skin tone is very dark and beautiful. But yeah, everywhere we went, it was definitely a look of you don't belong here, until they found out we didn't speak Portuguese. You know, it was a lot of "Olá, tudo bem?" And then when we didn't know how to say it back or say beyond, tudo bem, it was like, oh, okay, they're cool, they're American. And it was just awkward because it was not, this is not an exaggeration. This is genuinely feeling like we were not wanted there. The question of why we were there. Another thing is we went to the mall on Paulista in Sao Paulo, There was not a single black person there. I went into this shoe store to get some shoes, and the people that worked there didn't even want to help me. Like, it was only until I started speaking English that they realized, oh, okay, she needs help, or she needs this or that. And it was just obvious. There was not a single black person in sight. The only black people we did see were the ones homeless and in the streets. They either worked security or they were a janitor. This was everywhere we went. And it was disheartening to see, especially living in a city. I won't go there. But yeah, that was my experience. Again,
I got punched in the face in Brazil in Rio during Carnival. So my friend and I were trying to look for a public toilet at 1 a.m. and we couldn't find one anywhere. So we decided to go to the beach. There were heaps of people around. And so he went to pee in the ocean and I held his phone and his wallet. I wasn't far from him, but I was just facing the other way. And then I saw these two guys running towards us. And I was drinking at the time. I was 22. I was really young and I didn't know any better. This sounds really stupid, but I thought they were coming over to be our friends. And then one of the guys started pulling the phone and the wallet out of my hand and I didn't know what to do. I didn't let go because the people pleaser inside of me didn't want to lose my friend's phone and wallet because I would feel really guilty, which is actually so silly now that I look back, because obviously my friend would have wanted me to prioritize my safety. I tried to call out to my friends that was still peeing in the ocean and he couldn't hear me. And the other guy went around and tripped him. So he was face down in the ocean peeing. And then I still hadn't let go of the phone and wallet. So the guy punched me in the eye and I fell to the ground, and my friends came over and he was like, but how are we going to get home? So then the guy opened up the wallet and gave us our train ticket back. This is really embarrassing, and my friend and I always laugh so much about this, but with the train card, my friend took it and he was pretending it was a camera and pretending to take photos with the card of them like running back to sit with their friends as like revenge. And at the time we were like, yes, like this will make them feel scared. I don't know, like obviously we were in shock, right? So our logic was out of our brains, okay? Those two guys ran back to sit with a group of their friends that were like 100 meters away. We could still see them, but it was like such a large group of people. There were so many people around who saw the incident, and there were cops around the corner. So we went to them and we told them what happened. They didn't speak English, but there was a random girl that was translating. And we were like, we can literally see the person who has the phone, but they literally didn't care. And something felt off, like something didn't feel safe. So my friend and I just decided to leave to go back to the hostel. We got back to the hostel and they were like, you need to go to the hospital. And luckily there was one within walking distance. So we walked there and the hostel was like, you're not meant to go to the beach at night. Like it's really unsafe for tourists, which we didn't know because obviously in Australia, you just assume that beaches are safe. And also there was so many people around. So we just really didn't think that anything would happen. And then, yeah, I couldn't see out of my eye for 5 days. It was shut and it was black. But luckily, there were no long-term effects from it. It could have been so much worse. And also they could have punched me in the mouth. My teeth could have fallen out and then I would have had to get surgery or something. So actually it was the best outcome in the end. And when my friend retells his story, he's like, yeah, I jumped into defense. But no, you were face down peeing in the ocean. But yes, that is the story of why I got punched in the face in Rio.
All right, story time. So I'm here in Rio de Janeiro and a lot of people told me how dangerous it is, how to do not take a lot of money out, so on and so forth, which like I definitely been listening to. So while I was walking around today, I've been here for a month. I have had no issues, but today I got mugged / attacked. I always wear my necklace that it just means a lot to me. And today I was walking back to my Airbnb and I got stopped by this guy and he was telling me how he's hungry. Of course, in Portuguese, he was telling me how he's hungry and could I help him with food. And I said, no, no, simple as that. And I kept walking and then he said, please. And I was like, no. And he then again said, please, just a little bit of food. And then I said, okay, how much are you asking of me? And that's when he told me how much, and I didn't understand him because I don't know a lot of Portuguese. So I said, no entiendo, and he said, he had this look in his eye, and I think that's when he understood I was not Brazilian, even though because a lot of people automatically think I'm Brazilian because of my curls and my melanin skin, but it's not too dark, so I don't look African American like I am. So he then pointed at his neck. And once again, I don't know what jewelry is in Portuguese, and I don't know what mugging sounds like. So he was like this and started telling me something, and I was like, no entiendo, no comprendo. And he's like looking around, and that's when it clicked in my head, because he was looking around to see if anybody was gonna like stop him if he mugged me. So that's when I was like, no, never mind, like no entiendo, no. And I started walking, and then that's when he grabbed me by my neck and grabbed the chain at that. And like I did this to like kind of keep the chain there and grab the chain, because it means a lot to me. And I was like, okay, like literally thought, okay, should I fight? And if so, what should my first move be? And then all of a sudden I feel hands behind me touch me. That was the third guy that popped out. And that's when I lifted my neck, let them take the chain, and I scratched the main guy I was talking to and like kind of ran/walked off. So long story short, if you're going to wear jewelry out, please hide it until you get to your destination, and make sure you walk in groups if you are out and about, especially at night. And then for people that look Brazilian, like melanin, curly hair, so on and so forth, I would just keep your mouth shut if you're not Brazilian, because once they understand that you cannot speak Portuguese or that you're not Brazilian, they will definitely see that you as a bigger target. Because if I just kept walking after I said no, they wouldn't have bothered me. But as soon as they heard my accent when I was communicating with them and told them no entiendo, they were like, oh, he must be American or European or something. So that's when it kind of went downhill. If there's any questions, please feel free to comment them, and please like this video so people can be aware of this crap when they travel. And like I said, if you have any questions, I will answer them as soon as I get a chance. But just watch out.
One thing about being travelers and going to other countries, and even people coming over to America, is that locals can pick out the touristy people, and they will try to scam you. And so let me tell y'all about the time we got scammed in Brazil. So we were in Rio, my boyfriend and I, and we went to Ipanema Beach, and we were just like walking up and down the beach, and the guy was like, oh, hey, like come over here, like we'll get y'all some drinks, we'll get y'all some chairs, all that jazz. So after we finished exploring, we went over, and we had 2 chairs with an umbrella. We had 2 alcoholic drinks, coconut water, and then one of the guys that worked there like brought us some fries that we did not order. Red flag. Now, automatically, like the red flag 1 should have been there were no prices on the menu. 2, the guy kind of looked sketchy that was like, hey, come over, you know. But I try not to judge people, so I'm like, okay, he seems okay. Like he had a nice conversation, stuff like that, whatever. So now when we finish and we go to pay, the guy's like, oh yeah, it's like $200, and we like $200. And so for our 2 drinks, that was like, what, let's say $15 a piece, so $30. A coconut water was $5. And then the umbrella and the seats, let's say those were $20, so that's $60. And then the fries should have been like $5. They charged us like $20 for the fries, so they just like overpriced for everything. And he tried to include a tip in that $200, and I was like, no, you could take that tip out because you do not have a tip coming. And I just didn't feel like it was worth it to really sit there and argue back and forth with him about what their prices were. 1, because there were no prices on the menu, so they could make the prices what they want, really. And then another thing he tried to do was he tried to like charge our card twice. So my boyfriend paid, and the guy was like, oh no, it didn't go through. So I was like, okay, check your card. He checked his card and it went through. So we were like, dude, you ain't got nothing else coming. So you and your scamming ass friends could split the difference of what this was and keep it moving. And so, yeah, just not really worth it to sit out there and argue, because people like that will get their karma anyway. And then the fact that you out here scamming off like fries and like drinks and stuff like that is kind of crazy. But yeah, so some battles are just not worth fighting, y'all. So when we go to get to other countries, like we gotta keep it cool, because these police like don't play. Like we live in America, and you know, people already be feeling some type of way about us. They be quick to arrest us, especially in Mexico. So y'all, please have some coots and handle situations wisely. Think first before you act, okay?
Hey guys, I am ready to talk about it. We are talking about Brazil today while I do my hair. So get ready for the journey. A friend and I decided that we wanted to go to Brazil, but her mom has the hookup on the airline bennies. So I was like, you know what? We could just do the standby situation because I don't want to pay $1,800 for a flight to Brazil because it's like peak season, it's summertime, like everything is vibey, like Brazil is a place to be in January. Oh, we booked the flights like last November. We were really awakened. So we're at the gate and there's not a lot of people there. So we're like, oh, it's gonna be straight, whatever. So then as we get closer to the boarding time and we see this huge like influx of kids. They look like preteens, like 13, 14, 15 years old. So I'm like, they're definitely, in school or whatever. So then we find out that it is back to school time for the Brazilian kids. So I'm like, oh shit. Like, and there was a lot of them. I'm talking like probably 60, like a group of 60 of them coming. So I was like, not freaking out at that point, but I was like, I feel like we still have a chance. Like, I wasn't freaking out. Like, everything's fine. So anyways, I feel like I need to rerun the story. So, my friend, we get to the airport or whatever. We're gonna be in Brazil for a week. So and then we had to post content. We're both influencers and we got our whole, trip sponsored as far as our clothing and stuff. So literally all these companies send us all these clothes to wear. So I was like, there's no way I can put all this shit in a carry-on. So I'm gonna have to check a bag because I don't like being out of town and not having all my things. So, that's what I did. So she was like, I always travel with a carry-on. I don't ever check my bag because we don't know if we're gonna get on the flight. So I was like, well, my bag is definitely not going to TSA. I have a huge American Tourister trunk, like suitcase, like, because I have the drama. So we go to the counter and she's like, I don't know if you're gonna be able to check it. I was like, girl, we're gonna out there. Like, we can do this. It's fine. So the lady's like, yeah, we can check your bag. Don't worry about it. We'll check a sticky. And if you guys don't get on, we're gonna keep it. And so you can't get on. So I was like, okay, whatever. So we get to the gate. Literally I need to be doing my hair. They start the boarding process. They call all the groups, priority, group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All the groups are boarding. And so, if you're doing standby, then you board last or whatever. But here's the catch. They do like a system. Day one. So we are waiting on one lady, to see if she's gonna show up or not. And of course, at the last fucking minute, she shows up. So my friend, so I was D3. There's like a ranking system. So the direct employees get first dibs. Then their companions get second dibs. Then their companions get third dibs, which is, and then there's like a fourth group. I don't know what they're called, but it was 2 seats on the flight. The first lady took the first one, and they were asking me and my friend if we wanted to split. And of course, no, we're on vacation together. Why would I split? Like, we're going together. So they were like, you know what? It's fine. The flight tomorrow is not full. You guys can get on the second flight. Now, thank God we live here. You know what I mean? Like, we were leaving the airport if not. But, we just went home that night and just, call it a day. Come on. So anyways, yeah, we went home that night, and, the next flight didn't leave out until the next day. Shut up, Caesar. The next flight didn't leave out until the next day. So we're like, that's fine. We'll just go home, make some dinner, and we'll try again tomorrow. So, like, this video might be getting a little bit long, so I'm definitely gonna make a part 2, and I'm not gonna make you guys wait for it. I'm gonna post it right after I post this. But here's the update right here. We are still halfway done, and I have, like, a pack and a half left. We're at the airport, at the gate, and, we're sitting around, so we asked the lady, we don't have seats on our tickets, because they're standby tickets. And so the woman is like, well, you guys have iffy chances of getting on this flight as well. We're like, oh my gosh, it's already said today we definitely be able to get on. Mind you, they don't know, they don't know this information. So the lady is like, well, we are waiting on the flight from Orlando. It is delayed, so if the flight doesn't come, you guys can probably get on. Now, at this point, we did not know how many people were on that flight. Typically, if you guys don't know, they hold planes, for large groups of people going to a destination. So, this particular plane had 59 passengers going from Orlando to Rio de Janeiro that night. And so 59 seats were available, but they weren't going to leave 59 passengers behind. If it's 15, 20 people, they'll literally leave them. But if it's that many people, it's not happening. Oh, the flight actually was delayed by like an hour and a half, but do you know what happened? There was maintenance on the flight that we were supposed to be on, so they were holding the flight regardless of if the plane came or if the maintenance got fixed. They were waiting for all of those passengers. So when all those passengers got on the plane, there were only 2 seats left. Once again, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? They're asking us again, do you guys want to split? We're like, no. So then the guy's like, okay, well, there's a flight to Sao Paulo tonight. If you guys want to get on that flight, it's about to leave right now. If you guys go to the other gate, we'll transfer your bags to Sao Paulo, and you guys can just drive to Rio. Like, Rio is just right up the street, because it's not. At this point, they were telling us all the other flights to Rio, like the next day, the day after that, were completely full. Like, they oversell these flights all the time. It's just something that American Airlines does. As you guys could guess, we decided to fly to Sao Paulo. Now, the 2 girls that weren't able to get on the Rio flight also got on our flight to Sao Paulo. We're not really stressing, because I know we're gonna get figured out. Well, we end up taking their numbers down, because now, like, we're a group, like, we're sticking together. So, they end up pulling our bags off of the Rio flight, and they were supposed to be transferring them to the Sao Paulo flight. That's what they told us. They gave us new bag tags and everything. Like, everything was going great. on the flight trying to figure out how the hell we're about to get from Sao Paulo to Rio de Janeiro, which is about 5.5 hours away from each other. So I was like, let me get on Google and find some like taxi services, transportation services, that we can use. So it ended up being $90-something per person for us to drive this, and we all split it. But when we get to Sao Paulo, we get a message that our bags are delayed until a later flight is exactly what the email said. And we're like, do they mean a later flight to Seoul? How long do they mean a later flight to Rio? Like, where the fuck are the bags going? Get off the plane, we go to the baggage claim area, talk to the guy in baggage claim. He's like, oh, your bags are in Rio. Like, they kept the bags on the Rio flight, so you guys can just go get them. So we're like, okay. I mean, that worked out because we're going to Rio anyway. Now, I typically do like a whole bunch of research before I go to a country, and I had no idea, like, most of the people in Rio do not speak English or Spanish, they don't speak it, and I knew zero Portuguese. I'm talking about none whatsoever. And the guy, like our driver, did not speak English or Spanish, so he only spoke Portuguese. Thank God the girls we were with, they kind of both spoke a little bit. So I was like, I'm so glad you guys are in the car with us, because we are on this bonding experience with these two girls who we just went at the airport literally 12 hours before. And it ended up being a great ride. Like, the ride was so beautiful, honestly, like, throughout the country from Sao Paulo to Rio. And he even stopped and got us food. So at this point, we have finally made it to Rio after that long ass drive. We didn't really do anything the first night. We actually went out and found this cool little restaurant. It was apparently new. And we had some drinks and some really good fish sticks. Surprisingly, like, they were like fresh fish fingers. They were probably the best I've ever eaten, and I don't even like fish sticks. Left out a really important fact. One of the girls that we were with was working for American and actually told us our bags never left Miami. Alright, so now it is officially day one. Like, we finally got there. So we wanted to go see Christ the Redeemer, of course, and so we bought all of our tickets and stuff via Viator beforehand, but I would strongly suggest that you buy your tickets when you get there because it is cheaper. It's cheaper to buy them there. You don't have to skip the line. There was no line when we went. Summer in January, so keep that in mind if you guys want to travel to Brazil. We took the cable car up to Sugarloaf Mountain to see the view from there, but honestly, if I could do it all over again, I would scratch that because you get a more beautiful view from Christ the Redeemer. Well, the second day, we did a walking tour of Rio. We literally walked for 3.5 hours around the whole city. If you guys are really into history, I would recommend doing that because we learned a bunch about different things that you can do, and a lot of stuff you can do in Rio is free. You can literally walk around, and at the end of the tour, we got to see the Center Steps, which were like where Snoop Dogg and Pharrell filmed. It's beautiful. Of course, they made a little music video. It's so cute, but it's so busy. So if you guys plan to go there and you want to take pictures, there will be a line. You can actually walk all the way up until you get to Santa Teresa, I think. But they say that it's a very steep walk, and most people don't want to do it, so you could just take the train. The rest of our trip was literally just eating. We went out one night to a club bar. It was really like a bar, but they had really good music, like really live music. Everyone was dancing. It was really a bar, but you could like dance there. Then we went to Copacabana, which was kind of the more chill beach. Then we went to Ipanema, which was the more lively beach. Definitely very, very hot, and that's where I got my little outfit from. The shirt and the little string bikini, that I was wearing in the video. To another beach, a little bit further down from Ipanema called Aporador. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm messing it up, don't come for me because I don't know. But yeah, that was my favorite beach out of all of them. There was a cruise in while we were there, so the water was kind of murky and ugly, but it was still a very beautiful beach. When we went to this really kooky restaurant, it had like decorations, like it was cars on the wall and like soldier men like hanging upside down from the ceilings. It was very strange, but it was kind of like a buffet style Brazilian steakhouse. Actually very much enjoyed that place. I cannot remember the name of the dish that we had. It was kind of like a risotto with like a crunchy like topping. I just realized that I did not tell you guys that we ever got bags. So I'm gonna tell you right now, the story does have a happy ending. We did get the backtrack eventually. While I'm finishing my hair, I'm just gonna cut you guys up. So long story short, we kept calling American every single day for 4 days, asking them where the bags were. We kept getting a lot of runaround until finally, day 6 of 7 of our trip, we were able to locate them. All we had to do was go to the airport. We filed claims for this inconvenience, you guys. It was a mess, but we still enjoyed our trip. Luckily, we had a friend who was already there who had extra clothes that she can spare us until we got our luggage back. So grateful. It was actually one of the best trips I've ever had in my whole life, and I'm definitely going back. Alright, this is the ending result. Thank you guys for listening to my story time, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Hey guys, so I got robbed in Sao Paulo and had my phone stolen, but I'm gonna totally victim blame here because I should have absolutely known better. But I wanted to share my experience and let you guys know what happened. So I was going to a dance social that was in a studio in a neighborhood called Consola South, which as soon as I got off the Uber, it was very clear immediately that this was not a nice. But here was this just series of unfortunate events. So the dance studio was literally right at the corner of 3 big roads that were intersecting. And the Uber driver, for whatever reason, didn't want to make a left turn. So he just dropped me off across the street and just kind of waved his hand and said it's over there. But, I don't speak Portuguese, so I just kind of understood that it was across the street. So there is no sign at all for this dance studio, and it turned out it was on the second floor of this building that from the outside looked like a completely abandoned storefront boarded up, like graffiti on the walls, like wood boards that are on the windows. Just, it did not look like anything was in. In fact, the door was basically a cutout, like handmade cutout from like sheet metal that was on the side. So I just could not recognize where the entrance to this dance studio was at all. And so recognizing that it wasn't a great area, I walked into a nearest drugstore, just like a CVS type store, and I opened up Google Maps, and it said that it was actually around the corner. Now again, keep in mind that this studio was right at the corner of 3 intersecting roads. So Google Maps was really struggling to not only pinpoint my location, but the location of the studio. So I go across the street, I'm looking for the address, and I do not see it. And at this point, I ended up walking past the entrance like 3 times, and Google Maps, the location just keeps bouncing. So I end up taking my phone out, I'm in my hands, looking at Google Maps. I even had a wrist strap from my phone strapped to my wrist. And so I thought to myself at one point, wow, I look like such a lost horse right now. I am such a target. But I'm looking around, and everyone seems like generally okay. Like, it didn't look like there were any like shady characters around. But then in a flash, this like basically the equivalent of an Uber Eats bike rider comes up on the sidewalk and just shoots right past me, grabs the phone out of my hands, rips the strap right off my wrist or connected to the phone, and just takes off. Now, I was crazy enough, I actually like sprinted across multiple lanes of the highway that was nearby, or the big street that was nearby, trying to chase this guy. And because I'm thinking I have so much information on my phone. Now, at this point, some people did sort of flag me down. They helped me track down the police, but the police didn't really, they couldn't really do anything, even though I had the location on my watch. But we did eventually find the dance studio. I went in there, was able to log into iCloud, lock my phone, erase all the information, and then was able to use that. Was able to use that online to like figure out where my Airbnb was and all these type things. But I'll tell you, the biggest lesson of all was just how crazy the 2-factor authorization has been. So over the next week, where I did not have a phone, I just couldn't get into any of my accounts. I couldn't get into my banking account. I couldn't even get into my phone company, T-Mobile's account, because they all required 2FA. So I just want to share this, for other people who are traveling, trying to do digital nomad stuff. Think about your 2FA. Think about having a backup phone. One friend told me that when he goes out in neighborhoods that he knows aren't great, he still will just write down the address and the map on like printed pieces of paper and bring that out with him, so he's never carrying his phone like out in public.
Okay, so after watching these videos, would you still decide to take a trip to Brazil? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching. Take care.